Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Whenever you talk about grocery shopping, the topic of self-checkouts pops up. And also, if you check out various social media places, people will comment about self-checkouts. I personally don't like them. I'd rather stand in the line and have a person do it for me. Among other reasons, I hate trying to get those plastic bags to open on the thing, It's annoying. But some stores, in fact, one of the ones I do my most shopping at, are adding more and more self-checkouts. And obviously, they'd like to get to the point where everyone does self-checkout for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is they can hire fewer people. And so some people pushed back on this and said, this isn't right that they're making us do this work for them. And so the question is, what could be done about that? Well, the state of Rhode Island has pitched an idea that will get some people upset in the industry, but a lot of people are saying, hey, it's a good idea. Major update in self-checkout battle as retailers blast the bill to restrict the number of registers and shoppers speak out. But that's not really the part of the bill that really is at stake here. The part of the bill that's at stake is they want the stores to give you a discount if you use self-checkout, and that would become part of the law. So Miska Salomon wrote this for thesun.com, but it's widely reported. A new bill would limit the number of self-checkout lanes at major grocery stores. And of course, it's stirred up controversy among shoppers, with many saying the state is overstepping its authority. Well, let's see here. There's two parts to this. The legislation would cap self-checkout machines at 8 per store and mandate a 10% discount for customers who use self-checkout for 10 or more items. So when asked what the reasoning was behind the bill, state representative in Rhode Island said, self-checkout is a way grocery stores are avoiding paying employees by getting customers to do the cashier's jobs for free. According to her, the proposed legislation would reward shoppers who are reducing the labor burden for Rhode Island grocery employees. It seems only fair that if they're going to take on cashier's work, the customer should get something in return. And I saw recently a meme that was going around where people were talking jokingly about having called Walmart to find out where their W-2s were. And when Walmart said, well, you don't work for us, I said, oh, that's funny. It seems I'm the cashier every time I go there. So this rep began slamming grocery stores for passing the work on to consumers last month. She previously went after Walmart for asking unpaid customers to do the job of paid workers. She told a local news outlet there's no benefit for the consumer. When Walmart is making a ton of profit off not having cashiers, then passing the work to the consumer without any benefit. Now, some could argue that by having the store having fewer cashiers, that they can lower their prices, if that's what happened. And that's a possibility, but we don't know necessarily if that's what happens. Because they can pass the savings along to you, or they can pass the savings along to themselves. Despite lowering labor expenses for business, self-checkout also leads to fewer job opportunities, she said. Now her newly proposed legislation is up for debate. The Providence Journal reports that several food organizations are pushing back on the bill, noting that the government should not dictate the number of machines or impose a discount. And again, it talks about how many actual lanes there are or checkout machines there are per store. And it says here that the legislation would cap self-checkout at 8 machines per store, but I'm not sure if the number of machines makes that big of a difference if you were to get that 10% discount. Because I think a lot of people go, I'll scan all day long for 10% off. Some leaders penned letters to elected officials ahead of the House Corporations Committee's Thursday night hearing on the bill. Scott Bromberg, president and CEO of the Rhode Island Food Dealers Association, said this bill confronts a fundamental question for the state. To what length can government dictate the operation of a business? That's a question you might not want to ask. The legislators are always going to say that they've got a little bit more than you think they should. Bromberg suggested that many grocery stores are still struggling to hire and retain employees coming out of the pandemic. So if you couple the low employment rate of about 3.5% in January with the high cost of labor, and businesses will be required to develop alternative models for doing business or cease from operating, he noted in his letter. Other industry experts warned that customers will not be receptive to the new policy. Why would customers not be receptive to this? I don't understand that. The president of the Clements Marketplace in Portsmouth explained how self-checkout has evolved to meet shoppers' changing needs. For years, I had the mindset that self-scanners were impersonal and lacked the service we wanted to provide. I could not have been more wrong, she told the committee. Customers are looking for them because they were frustrated waiting in lines at the registers and are accustomed to using these units at many retail stores, not just grocery stores. And, I'll admit, if I saw the line snaking out the door for a live customer and there is no one there at the self-checkout, I'll use it. But I almost always go through one with a lane with a human operating the machine at the end. And I do that because I think, among other things, that person's got a job. And if I go through this line, I'm helping them keep their job. She pointed out that some customers do not want employees touching their products due to safety concerns. Well, I think most people know that their products have been touched on the way into their basket by the people who put them on the shelves, for instance, or the people who loaded them on the trucks. It depends on what it is. But that's a strange one. Meanwhile, they argue that the state does not know the best way to run their business. Simply because the store offers an option for a customer to handle their own goods at a point of purchase should not give the state a right to regulate the number of machines and mandate a discount. So again, the number of machines thing, I'm not quite sure how important that is, because the number of machines, obviously in a small store, a huge number of machines would be overkill. And in a big store, that number might not be enough. But the important thing is they say, yeah, but if the customers check their own stuff out, you get a 10% discount. I also am not sure if the 10% discount is the correct amount. There might be a way to calculate roughly how much a person is saving the store by doing the self-checkout. Again, I'm not saying it's necessarily right. I'm simply saying that this is something they're looking at. But I can tell you that I worked at a gas station when I was in high school. And our gas station at the time was full serve because self-serve hadn't come to town yet. And so we'd run out and pump your gas for you. And the station had a bunch of local, primarily high school age kids. Occasionally a young adult would come along and work there also. But most of us were just high school kids doing that for, minimum wage. And I remember when self-serve came to town, and my first thought was, really, can everybody, I've seen how people drive. Are we going to trust these people to handle the equipment at a gas station? Because there's a potential for danger there. And I honestly thought that there'd be people out there who couldn't handle pumping their own gas. So there was a transition period where I remember a lot of gas stations would have full serve and self-serve, or mini serve and self-serve. And mini serve, they'd come out and put the gas in your car for you, but if you wanted air in your tires, they wouldn't do that for you. And right now, I cannot think of any gas stations that have full service anywhere in my area. Now, there used to be a full-service station on Telegraph Road in the Bloomfield area that for years had full service, and they advertised it it was a big, big deal because they were the last of the full-service stations for miles. And that's an extremely well-to-do area, and I think a lot of people just said, I'll go in there and pay more for my gas so someone else will pump it for me. And, if you do pump gas and you're not wearing gloves, your hands will get dirty from handling the pump and all that stuff. You got to get outside. If it's cold out, it's raining out, depending on what kind of cover they've got, if any. And so the self-serve gas stations came along and people dealt with that. And now, if you said to me, Steve, I found a gas station where the gas is the exact same price, okay? Literally gallon to gallon, it's the same price. You can go in and pump your own or go in and get full serve. What do you want? I go in and pump my own. But I also am a car guy, and I used to pump gas at a gas station. But I assure you that a lot of people would say, oh, I'd go back to the full serve if I could get it. But I was kind of surprised by the fact that self-serve took over as it did, and not that many people are upset by it because now it's just the way things are. So I was convinced back in the old days that a few stations would hang on and do full serve and just charge more for it, but nobody does it. I don't think there's much of a market for it. But at the grocery store, scanning your own stuff to me is different because I've been there before in line and I'm trying to scan something because I've gone through self checkout once in a while. Something won't scan, or the machine locks up. And I had that happen about a week ago. I had one thing. I thought, well, I've got one thing. I'll just self-scan and walk out of here. And I'm doing this and it's not recording anything. And the woman walks over, because they have to have somebody watching these lanes for stuff like this. The woman walks over, she takes and she messes with it, and she resets the thing, and I see her looking at her card, and she's pressing passcodes and stuff into it, and finally, ding, and it works. And I hit the thing to pay, and now it's locked up again. She's like, she's messing with it. Eventually, she got it to work. And so, I find those things annoying, the self-checkout annoying, and I don't like it. And again, those plastic bags that they have in a big stack and they put on the thing, and you get one started, the next one won't start. Don't get me going on that. So I'll be curious to see what happens. I suspect this bill will get defeated. And the reason it'll get defeated is that the industry types, the lobbying groups for big business, will come out of the woodwork and attack this for fear that if it happens in Rhode Island, it could happen anywhere. And so they will go nuts to fight this and keep it from happening. But I like this proposal because if nothing else, it starts the conversation. And the question is, should you be compensated for checking out all your own stuff at the store? Because you are saving somebody money. The question is, are those savings being passed along to you? Don't know about that. But it's from thesun.com. Miska Salomon wrote it. David sent it to me. Thanks a lot. Major update in self-checkout battles. Retailers blast the bill to restrict the number of registers. Shoppers speak out. But here's the thing. It's not just the number of registers. It's whether you should get a discount for self-checkout. There you go. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. There's no comparison between the sun and the moon. They shine when it's their time.